Here we go, fam. I am here tonight with Rolando de la Cruz. De la Cruz, man, that name is just synonymous with baseball these days. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here. Just excited to share my story.
My pleasure. So, De La Cruz, Dominican, Puerto Rican, what does that mean? Is there a meaning to De La Cruz?
It's mostly like from the cross. I don't know. I haven't asked my mom and dad. It's my dad's last name. I haven't asked my grandma like why De La Cruz or like what's the real meaning behind it. But like the Dominican Republic, it's really there's a lot of like Catholics, so like
Yeah.
religion.
Yeah.
So like maybe it has to do something with that.
You almost have to play baseball. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So originally Dominican Republic, right? Where
Yeah.
where in D are you from, man?
So I was born and raised in San Pedro de Macorís. If you ever been to the DR, it's like right, it's between Santo Domingo and La Romana, which is like just in the middle. It's pretty known for baseball. Like you got guys like Tatis Jr. He's from there. I went to high school with him. His dad is a pastor. He goes around our academies. Sammy Sosa is from San Pedro. Robinson Cano is from San Pedro
Okay.
too. So there's a bunch of big names that come out of San Pedro Macorís.
And with all respect, obviously, in the world, but a lot of people, they look at DR, they'll look at Puerto Rico, they'll look at, Venezuela or some Latin American countries, almost in a third world type of, right? Which I don't think is a real fair rep. I have been to DR, but of course, when I was there, I'm on a resort laying in a pool
Yeah.
and you're just eating the food and drinking the drinks and whatever. But tell me a little bit about what baseball is like over there. I've had a few guys on, tell me like what it's really like over there when you're a young boy, say 5, 6, 7 years old. Is baseball just life to you guys?
I mean, to an extent, like yeah, like everybody grows up. You like everywhere there's like a TV. We have like this little what's it called? It's like if you've been to New York, they call it like bodegas. It's like mini
Yeah,
supermarket. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
it's like a gas station without gas, basically,
yeah,
where people go
yeah.
and shop.
I know exactly
And
what you're saying.
yeah, and they have TVs there. You see baseball around. Kids play like this game. It's called BT, which is like with a bottle cap and a stick bat. Yeah, and it's just like all around. I went to a little league and it was literally like 2 blocks from my house. There's just everywhere. There's baseball. You grow up baseball, everything. And when I first started playing at 11 years old, it was a way of my mom just having a break from me because I had so much energy, and she took me to the little league 2 blocks from our house, and I started just loving the sport even more, and that's how it all starts. It's just like, and also, there's a lot of people that during like the off season, there's like these trucks they go with lots of toys, and they're usually baseball player like giving back to the community. So that also inspires a lot of kids to just play and hopefully be one of those guys just throwing toys at kids. So it's
Yeah.
pretty awesome back home. You see it all around. We also host like there's 6 winter league teams, and
Okay.
there's one in my town, and so you see people going to the baseball games a lot.
I always feel like, when you're born in the States and not everybody at all, from baseball lineage, comes from money or anything like that. I feel like baseball is one of those games, almost like basketball, where you don't need, a ton of equipment. You can go play baseball and not have all the stuff. Now, you don't need the $400 bat and the $150 batting gloves. You can just go play. NBA, you need a ball, you go play, right? So I feel like sometimes the way it's looked at in DR and some of those countries, man. It's just they fall in love with it so early, just based on, hey, like we have the ability. Let's go out, start a game, right? We can just start playing and let's go at it. Is that kind of
Yeah.
what it is?
Yeah, so it's a little different. Like I've been in the States for 5 years. I came here in 2020, and I see kind of like the difference of like kids growing up and like how baseball is here compared to the DR. I feel like in the DR it's a little more affordable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've heard of like travel ball costs a lot, and also like
My boys are playing now, man.
yeah, and like private lessons, stuff like that costs a lot. But back home, like Little League, but for me, it was like 20 pesos, which is less than $1 every 2 weeks. And then once you go after Little League, you go to like the academies where scouts see you. And usually that is free too. The bargain to it
Oh,
is
really? Okay.
yeah, they only when that happens, when you go to one of those, there's a percentage. So
Okay.
let's say I go for free, they give bats, batting gloves, spikes, all that you
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
They take you in at 13. It depends. Most of the times, if they know for sure you're gonna go pro,
If they
they
see
cover.
something in
Yeah,
you, yeah, yeah.
yeah, they cover everything. If not, they'll like do percentage stock, and maybe you have to pay something, maybe not. But all around is more inexpensive, if that makes sense. So usually the percentage are like 45 of your signing bonus. So let's say you have a 16-year-old kid that he goes for $1 million, and 550 is for you, then 450,000 is for the team, for the academy, if that makes sense. So it's just
Oh, it
like that.
totally makes sense, and that's actually really interesting because I've never heard that story. It's almost an agent within the academy, right?
Yeah, no, the academies usually have the agents that bargain like to the scouts to you about like how much they think you're worth and all that, and also the trainers, the coaches. So yeah, but basically an academy, you could call it like a D1 school just
Yeah.
without the
Okay.
classes. Yeah,
Without the classes, which is kind of nice.
yeah.
When did you see, you said you started playing ball at age 11. When was it kind of, noticed like, hey, this kid might have something? Was it right away or was it a few years into it? And, was it always pitching? Tell me a little bit about your story growing up playing ball.
Yeah, so I was really good like catching wise. I was a catcher. Basically I play all the positions in Little League. I went to the outfield, I went to the infield, but if you don't know, like most infields back home, they're like rocky. So you get a lot of short bounces, it hits you on the face and whatnot. So I got away from the infield because I was getting scared of the ball, and I realized like catching, you're just sitting there. So as a kid, that seemed like the easiest position, which growing up, you realize it's one of the hardest ones. But yeah, I was a catcher and I was really good defensively. I just couldn't hit. And after that, I switched to hitting, which was I don't know, but yeah, like the way draft classes work is like by the age of 16. So pitchers get a little bit more time than 16, but for the most part, if you're an infielder, that's gonna be worth a lot. They sign you by 16. So when I was a catcher and I was 16, I wasn't getting much attention as a catcher because
The hitting wasn't there?
the hitting wasn't there. Like I would get invited to some events, mainly just because of my catching skills. But then I talked to my academy, and they were like, "Hey, you got a great arm. Maybe it's time for you to switch things up if you want to keep playing at the another level." So I started pitching when I was almost 18 or 18. Yeah, I
Really?
started pitching. Yeah,
Hold
when
up,
I was.
hold up, hold up. You didn't
Yeah,
start pitching until you were 18?
yeah,
Wow, man. That's incredible because I've seen you pitch and
yeah.
I saw what you're throwing and that's incredible. Man, imagine if you had started younger. Or do you think you got a lot of the experience from the catching position?
I mean, when I was catching, I knew I threw hard, but I feel like I remember sometimes when I was a catcher, I would get like sore with my arm or like whatnot. So I had a lot of like, I didn't really have like any major injuries, but my arm, my elbow would get swollen when I was a catcher. So I don't know if when I was a pitcher, and I was supposed to throw more, things would have go that way. Now, thank God, my arm is feeling good for the most part, but nothing never serious. But you never know. Like if I would have started earlier, it's like you know, make adjustments. So like, I learned by going out there and throwing some things that, you only learn on games. So maybe if I would have started younger, who knows? But
You know what? That's a great point. There's two ways to look at it. You could have started younger and, really burned or wore your arm out. And maybe, you're already a Tommy John into your career. So maybe it was a blessing. Or you could look at it the other way. I guess that's the glass is half full, half empty kind of thing. And you
yeah,
seem like a positive cat. So you got to look at it like that. You got to say, well, now my arm is fresh because, I didn't start pitching. Kids these days, man, I was watching my son pitch tonight. That's where I was, before we started, and he's going in, man, and he's throwing as hard as he's 11 years old, but I see him just heaving, as hard as he can. And I always tell him, I say, man, take a little off. And everybody puts so much emphasis on velo, right?
yeah,
And I try to tell him, especially 11, man, it's about spin, it's about this, it's about that, and it's not trying to do too much. I mean, I don't think any 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds should have a four-pitch arsenal. They shouldn't be throwing curveballs. They should be
yeah.
trying to throw the ball down the plate, work on accuracy. So I guess what I'm saying is you actually had time to develop, and that had to be a huge advantage then catching for pitchers as well, because you were learning the pitches, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. So when I started pitching, it was fun. I miss hitting, but it's always fun when you can go out there and compete, and it's a great day to just being out there competing against someone else. So yeah, I would say like when I started pitching, it was a slow progression. Like I have videos of me pitching when I was back in the DR, and I also feel like if I would have started earlier, I don't know if my yeah, like, there were just a lot of things like you think about it and it's just
Yeah.
like so awesome to think like how one thing could have affected
Yep.
moving forward. So yeah, when I was 18, I started pitching, and then I think that same year I moved to the United States, so that was 2020. 'Cause, I don't know if I told you this, but back home you cannot do both. You cannot do baseball and school. So I was going to school
Really?
yeah, I was going to school on Sundays when I was in the academy. Mainly because during the weekdays, it's when the scouts go and see you play.
Dude, that is wild. That is wild. So you legit choose baseball or school?
Yeah, when I was back in the DR, I would. I mean, that's just how everything is back
Yeah,
home.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, like professional teams have done better, and they have like high school programs within the organizations. Like here, like on spring training, they had some guys like graduate, and
Right, right.
they give them like a certificate and all that from. Is it GED? Is that what it's called? High
GED
school?
is the high school. Yep, yep.
Yeah, so they will graduate high school while being here. And, that's just how it is back home. Like I said, mainly because scouts will see you try out from usually Monday through Saturday. So if you're in school during the day, like it's not like they're gonna wait for you at the afternoon.
You know what I noticed though, man, in speaking and listening to a lot of the way you guys are, like you're very cerebral, I mean, a lot of you guys are very bright, you're intelligent, and you need to be a ball player and a good one at that, and people would say that's synonymous. They'd say, oh, well, this didn't go to school, he can't be total nonsense, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And a lot of the stuff you learn hands on, so I'm not saying nobody should go to school or anything like that, trust me, but I'm saying, it's I never knew that back in the
yeah,
DR you kind of had the choice. I know that, there's the international signings, back in the day they would look at things as almost like, you were kind of poaching, in those countries and trying to pull people in. Do you think it's fair now the way that it's set up, right? You guys are getting it like there's money coming into the families and stuff like that, right? So it,
yeah.
it seems to be more on the up and up now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah, and like most of the times you only see like the big prospect, but I never play in the DCL back home. But I know like there's a lot of guys that, they sign for not a lot of money and they work their way up. You
Yeah.
hear like this big leaguer now, Caminero from Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, junior, yeah.
Yeah, like his class, he was one that went for 5K, and you got guys that went for 4 million, 3 million that
Right,
haven't yet
right,
made it. So,
right.
money for sure helps their families, but sometimes it can take you away from like your vision because people might get comfortable. So,
Totally.
like right now, there's a lot of like mental health before signing a big prospect back
Good, good.
in the DR. So they want to make sure how are you with your family? How are you doing
Dude, I
things?
love hearing that. I love hearing
Yes.
that's
So
amazing.
yeah, because there's been kids that they sign for a lot of money and they start getting comfortable. They do other stuff that's
Right,
not
right.
healthy for their careers. They also ask, is this guy a good person? Stuff like that is what they're going more. It's not just those are some recent trends, but it's not like, oh, this guy can for sure hit. We're gonna give them this much. Now there's a bunch of factors that go into how much money they giving you, and part of it too is like it not only helps their families, but since the academy takes a percent cut,
Yeah,
they're wanting to like get more, so like
right,
they
right.
can use those resources to reinvest in other players.
Well, Ro, think about it, man. If a 16-year-old kid is getting $2.7 million, that's 2.7 reasons to not, right? I see what you're saying. To maybe not have your foot on the gas pedal. Like you almost feel like you made it before you made it.
Yeah,
And I have a big problem with the NIL, which is the college thing here in the States now. They're paying all the college kids before, like there's some college kids making $1, $2 million, and they don't even need to go play in the it wasn't like that up until a couple years ago. All that stuff's new. But when you're that young and you haven't matured yet, you're gonna make stupid decisions. I mean, there's a laundry list of guys. If you and I were to sit down and chop it up and go over the names, man, like Wander Franco, right? He was already in the league, but
yeah,
he's a young dude and like he made some terrible decisions. We won't go into what he did, but it's like when you're young, you do stupid things.
yeah,
So then young with a whole bunch of money, you can do really stupid things, right? But, moving on, how did you end up getting into the States? Kind of tell me your story in particular, of coming over to go to college and everything.
So yeah, it was long story, but when like I said, you cannot do both back home. My mom was telling me, "Hey, son, I love that you play baseball, you're passionate about it, but we value education. We don't want you just not going to school for however many years." So she wanted me to start college, but like I said, you cannot do both back home. So I had to find a way where I could do both. And I met this friend of mine that we played in I was invited to a showcase as a pitcher in Colombia,
Okay.
and that's where I met him. And he told me, "Hey man, did you know you can get scholarships to play in the States, and you
Okay.
are eligible to still go play pro ball." That was something I didn't know anything about, and I found this Instagram page that they help you. It's called CJ Becas. So they help you get scholarships into the States. They go around Colombia, Venezuela, and the DR, Panama too, and they rent the field, they take their cameras, they make a video for you, they charge you $100. And
Okay.
after they make the video, they say, okay, we'll guarantee you a scholarship, but if the scholarship comes to you, you have to pay us $2,000. So that's how they work. So basically,
I mean,
yeah, they
it's
make
commission based. They're selling you, and it's a commission based.
yeah. So basically, they know a bunch of coaches in the States, mostly junior college, mostly in the North, because a lot of people that play baseball in the North don't want to play baseball in the North, so they want to
Right,
go
right, right.
somewhere where it's warm.
Right.
But as yeah, when you're like from Venezuela and or the DR and you've never been out of your country, and they'll tell you, hey, you go here, even if it's snowing, you probably go there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
most kids don't think about it twice. I was one of them, so I took the decision and I went to a small junior college in Trinidad, Colorado.
Okay.
That was one of the options. There was one in Kansas, but I had to pay like $900 for something. In here in Colorado, I didn't have to pay anything. So I went with that one. I was really grateful, like for my parents for helping with me with that. Because I'm not from a wealthy or rich
Right,
family
right,
either.
right.
$2,000 from a short notice
It's a lot
was
of
a
money.
sacrifice, especially in the DR where $1 is 60 pesos right now. So when that happened, it was like November of 2019. I started the process. It was super quick. It went super smooth. It was before COVID, so things with like migration processes and all that weren't taking that
It's
long.
different.
With the help of the guy that does the commission-based things, he also has people that helps you with like you have to take like a what's it called, like an English test to be able to like be qualified to study in the United States.
Like an entrance exam almost or something.
Yeah. So they know like you can basically understand the classes,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
yeah. So he helped with all of that, and I got here in January 2020, and next thing you know, there's just COVID happened
Yeah,
like on
I know.
March.
You're like,
So
come on, I just got here, and then here we go, right? Everything shuts.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't my first time in the States. My dad actually lives in New York, so I usually
Okay.
come to visit him. My first time was like when I was 14. That's where I met my dad.
Okay.
And
Now,
yeah,
did,
when I was
did anyone play ball in your family, like dad or uncles or anybody like that? Was there anybody that played
just
pro ball?
like some of my cousins, just like little league, nothing like
Okay.
professional
Okay.
or
Okay.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then the guy that originally, when you saw him in Colombia, was he already a player?
Yeah, he was in junior college in I believe
But not MLB though. He wasn't signed with anybody or anything.
no, he was in a junior college, but no, he wasn't. He when he went to the Columbia, he was a player. He was looking for, to be able to sign, and
Okay.
happened the same thing where he was 18 or 19, and he wanted to study too, not just be sitting around. So he came to the state with
Did
that,
he end
and
up? Did he end up signing? Is he playing?
no, he played. I think last year was his last year. He played a couple draft league events on the summer, but no, I think yeah, he didn't.
So, and it's so tough. I think, running through, let me kind of run it through the other way, right? So, right now, right in my area, there's a local kid. His name is Matty Barr. He's 19 years old. A lot of hype surrounding this kid. He's 6'6". He throws some gas. He's up like you, 97, 99, and a lot of hype surrounding him in this area. He's anticipated to be a first or second round draft pick this year. So everybody, it's like, okay, if you're a top one, two, three, four, five, six, seven pick, whatever it is, dude, your work just starts, like you're just getting started. So
Yeah.
it's everybody has a little bit of a different path. And that's why I think yours is so interesting.
We played two
Yeah.
games in the
Yeah.
fall. So one of those games was over there at DBU. They got a lot of like prospects over there, so it was a little good. It was good to just go out there and be able to like showcase. There was a lot of scouts there, and I got some text messages after that.
So you
Following up.
you pitched real well there?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I pitched well over there, and then I was getting, I think it was that year. Yeah, that year I had like some text messages,
Yeah.
nothing really serious, just to like get to
Right,
know
right.
me, get
Kind
my
of feeling it
information.
out a little. Yeah.
Yeah. Then when the season started, it wasn't the greatest season of all. I think I only went not many innings at the beginning. My first game, it was against Nevada. I went like 5 innings, 2 runs, and that was like it was a good stepping stone to start off my D1 career. But then after that, my arm started hurting. I wasn't able to manage a lot of the stress I was getting properly. So, I feel like all happened for a reason. That year was much like a reset year because I missed like
Love that
3 weeks.
attitude.
Yeah, I missed like 3 weeks of the start of the season. Then when I was coming back up, I threw a couple innings on games, and then I got injured on my hamstring. I wasn't pitching at all because of the injuries, and just when you miss a couple games starting off the season, and some guys step up that
Yep.
were
Yep.
not,
That's
you
how you lose your
started.
seat. Yeah, that's how you
Yeah,
lose your seat,
so
man. And yeah, listen, I get it. I get it. And then you got
yeah.
that much harder to claw your way back.
Yeah, so that's how it was. I was a starter, got injured, and then coming back up, it wasn't as expected or as quickly that I anticipated it. So it was mostly like a reset year. Okay, let's get back and reset on the summer, work really hard. I think that fall of 2023, it's where I pretty much like was getting more interest because my below spiked a little bit. I think that year I topped at 97,
Yeah.
and I had a great fall. I started using the changeup too. So after that year, I had like 2 interviews. Like on December, I had 2 interviews. One was on Zoom. The other one, the guy actually went at the facility. And then yeah, 2024, I started off good in the middle, kind of like fell back. They moved me to the pen slash midweek opener.
Yep.
And I feel like that was also one of the reasons like why I'm here today. Because our midweeks, they're pretty much like big opponents like OU,
Yep.
Texas, because they're close to Abilene,
But they
TCU,
but they look
Tech.
at it, and not to interrupt you, but they look at it as the midweek starter, not being the Friday, Saturday starter is almost in D1 ball, that's like a demotion, right?
Yeah, but most of the times they see it that way, but for me, I feel like it was a blessing in disguise
I
because,
love that. I love that attitude.
yeah, our conference, they're not as shiny as playing Texas or
Right.
playing Tech.
Right.
So, those games were really, really what brought me here, I feel like, because some of those games, I remember I went like 3 innings against Texas, I think no hits, punch outs or
And
four.
this was more in relief work?
I was like an opener.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it will be like, I don't know. I worked a lot through pitching and finding my own sense of like how do I want to get to a point where I'm consistent. And I feel like as a starter, I was overthinking a lot. I had an hour to warm up,
Sure.
and I would get in my head. So usually the first inning, it would take me a lot of pitches, and that way I wouldn't be able to be by the fifth inning. So what my coach did, he tried to make things easier for me. So he would throw somebody in on the first inning, and then I would go in for 3 innings after that,
Yep.
and then I will be on a good pitch count to then like close the game on like a Saturday. So that was what my role was mostly at Abilene. It was midweek opener, 3 innings, and then close it on the conference games. But yeah, like I would say that those games in the midweeks against good competition, scouts will go there. I think that's what started off for me, just like being out there a little bit more.
So Evelyn Christian comes to a close, right? Not drafted, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Or not drafted.
Not drafted.
Then let's talk about this phone call you get, man. I mean, like what are you doing at the time and how did this all go down? Like break this story down for me.
Yeah, so our season ended in May. We didn't make it to regionals. And after that, I had two workouts. I can remember the sad days, but one was with the Angels and the other one was with the Dodgers.
Okay.
So the one with the Angels, it was actually me and Brad. We were invited to that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
And it was something chill, it was a bullpen,
Yeah.
but like, in my head, I'm also like, hey, I got two opportunities here to
Yeah.
show. And
Yep.
I'm like, I don't I also like to look back at my career and say like, hey man, I've been a long ways. I do my best every day. I don't want to have like regrets. When they take the jersey from me, I want to say, hey, I did it all.
Yes.
So when I got there on that day, I don't know how hard I threw, but I know it was hard. I know I
You went
just
for
got,
it. You went for it.
yeah, I know I got the ball. I'm like, hey, this could be my last time on the mound. Let's enjoy it. So that's how it went. Then, that was like a couple weeks before the draft. Draft ends. Like I was following up. The last day, Albus got drafted, so that was some great news for us. And then, as soon as the draft ended, I think it was like a Wednesday or Thursday, I get the call from who was the intermediary there, but because I didn't have an agent, so it was my assistant coach. He called me and he said, "Hey, Del Cruz, the Angels have this. Are you in or not?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in." And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, like he said it in a way like, "Are you willing to wait for the other team, see what?" But I'm like, "No, they were first ones. They want me." So
No,
I
that's a smart move, man.
yeah.
You absolutely, and let me ask you this, and just, I'll just be straight up blunt, right? So not being drafted, what do they, and not getting into specifics, you don't need to tell me anything like that, but they offer you something, obviously, to come with the club. So
Mhm.
do they say, hey man, we're gonna, sign you for X amount, and then we want you to come to the complex? Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, yeah. So the way it works, yeah, they tell you the signing bonus, and then some guys, I think, like when they call him, their agents work away like, hey, I want him to start here. I want him to do this, do that. But for me, it was pretty chill. I know it was like, hey, we'll have you here with all the draftees. Everybody will get it. That was a Thursday, and I flew out to Arizona on a Saturday morning. So yeah, the next day after that, it was just all packing up. And once you get there, they have like a draft camp week.
Yep.
So everybody that sign up that week, they get there, just like an introduction to the team, all
Yeah.
of that, and just like the ways they do stuff, physicals, all that stuff. And then once you after that week, it's we go into what's called bridge camp, which is basically you get there late July. Uh, on August, they're still the affiliates are still playing until September 8th. So during that month, they may send some guys up. Some
Yep.
guys stay there during bridge camp. I stayed there during bridge camp and just basically like I started working there, lifting, all that.
And how they've been treating you. Like, I mean, how, like, is this experience been for you? Is this like, when you're that 11-year-old kid playing catcher in the DR, right? Or that 18-year-old kid who's, going to, I mean, are you kind of looking at it like, holy cow, I'm with the Angels right now, right? And then second part to that, is how are they treating you? As far, are they kind of like, are they giving you a lot of optimism, a feeling of, hey man, sky's the limit, like let's just grind here?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing they said to us, like all the new guys, it's like they don't show us Friday in the big leagues. So basically what and you've seen them, they like to, if they think you can help them in the big club, they'll call you in. It doesn't matter if you're in AA,
Correct.
they'll call you up. So I mean, that encourages us to like keep working. Some guys like it, some guys don't, but it's mostly like, hey man, let's grind, let's just do our best. And you can be 1 year away, you can be 3 years
100%.
away, but like you never know, as long as you just keep grinding and as long as they see something in you that can help them, like you'll be good. So I mean, yeah, I see everything as an opportunity to like, okay, now what can I learn from this? Obviously, I threw that razor
Dude,
away.
and that's what I love about everything you've said so far, man. You're an extremely humble dude. For anyone wants a blueprint on how to be not only as a human being, man, but just going through this path, you're tremendous. I'm really enjoying this because you have not taken one thing for granted. You have never asked for more. It's like, I'm getting the opportunity, great. I mean, to not even have an agent, and I'm sure you relied on somebody, whoever it was, family, parents, whatever, but like, to really just say, I'm soaking in this opportunity and I'm gonna go and take whatever they give me and I'm gonna show and prove, right? The only way you can do it, man, is by showing and proving, showing what you have and proving to them that you belong there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, all of it is just showing up. You never know. So I
Yeah.
mean, I like to enjoy the process. I feel like right now, baseball, it's a sport, you love it, you hate it sometimes, but you just gotta like stay through it, consistent, and just keep pushing because, I started off really good this season, then we got to the half, this happened after two of my worst outings, and you like you look back and I'm like, okay, like how can we reset this? How can we move on from this and get better? So like, I love how baseball it's like a skill game, but it's also so mental.
You hit
During
the nail on the head. And you have to be a leader and you have to be a clubhouse leader. So when you're on that 7 day, they want to see you around there. They want to see what you're doing and what you're bringing to the team. And are you pumping up other guys on the team, or are you just disappearing and going? And you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
they want guys who are gonna be there and put it in a little bit, and and willing to learn too. On that 7 day, are you over watching different guys? Like, hey man, this is what he does, or just being present. The more
yeah.
present you are, the more questions you ask, the more mature you seem and become. That's also important. Right now, you're in a great spot, dude. And where do you see yourself in a year?
In a year, I mean, hopefully, in a higher level. I started the season in low A. Just gotta work on like being more consistent because I know like not just me, but everybody here, we all got big league stuff. It's just like how consistently can you do it? So they work a lot. They emphasize a lot on that work consistently. How can we help you be more consistent? So for me, it would be like if I can uh just pound this on more. I don't get much like extra base hit. I get a lot of like ground balls. They'll need three hits for them to score a run. So like if I throw that and I just pound this on and go at it, I could see myself in double A, let's say next year. So I mean, it's just a matter of being consistent, just keep going, working on my mental strength, mentality, all of that. Not just how hard can I throw, but just being able to like pitch and all that. Because I know for sure, like, Bilo is what got me here, but they don't want to see how hard I can throw a ball forward. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
They,
dude, listen, that's amazing you just said that. You're absolutely right, man. It doesn't matter if ball four is 104 miles an hour, I mean,
yeah,
and that's such a good point. And velo, yes, they make a huge and it does mean things. But I think personally, and having seeing now, man, like how many guys at camp are throwing 95 plus? Probably most of them. So it gets to a point where guys are going to start catching up to 99. Guys will catch up to 101. It's just a matter of time. Maybe it's the second or third time through the lineup in one game, or maybe it's the next time you face that team.
because I started learning, I started pitching when I was 18. I'm still learning a lot. So, that's one thing I also learned from Avalon. When I was in JUCO, I didn't know anything about metrics. I got to Avalon, they told me, okay, this is your profile. This is what you're really good at. Because I realized like throwing fastballs down the middle wasn't going to cut it in D1.
Couple more minutes, and then we'll just get into a couple of fun questions. But what do you think is the difference, in your opinion, from pitch to pitch? So, for example, you come up, fresh batter, fresh count. You laser the first two darts in there at 98 low. Guy can't touch them, right? He looks at them both, not even swinging. So you're 0-2. Next three pitches, one's like what goes on with guys, where why is it so hard to pound that consistency? And I know we talked about the mental, but guys as good as you, right? Like what do you why is that so hard? Just, people look at it from the outside looking in if they're not athletes, and they'll go, why can't he throw a strike? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think the biggest challenge is, up or down an account? Just to go back, people say just throw another strike. What do you think the biggest challenge is?
Yeah, no, that's why I say like baseball is all mental. Like I feel like you get to two strikes and you're like overcomplicating things instead of keeping it simple. So that's one thing I'm trying to like work on. Like during this rehab that I'm doing for my finger, like I've been trying to work more on like my mental game, just like because I was doing just fine with like when I get on the games and it's clear bases, it's my own inning.
Yep.
But then when I get to the situation where there's momentum and like bases, like I've been in the game with bases loaded probably like 5 to 10 times already. I have like 18 appearances, and I think half of them have been like when I come in to get that ground ball because I'm the ground ball guy.
So they're throwing you in with the bases juiced.
Yeah, so that's something new for me. Just gotta embrace it, learn from it. But basically, I get in and I'm trying to do too much. I'm trying to force things
Yeah.
whenever, like, if I just go and keep it simple, that will happen on its own. But I'm trying to force it. Like, I remember my last outing, same situation, first and third, one out, they want a ground ball. I'll try to like go in so I can get a ground ball, hit the first guy.
Yeah.
And it just goes like that sometimes where you let one thing spiral into the other. So yeah, I would say the biggest thing for sure is definitely just overcomplicating stuff instead of keeping it simple.
Like go in and just get them out and do your job. And the more you do that, the more heads you're gonna turn. If you could be the ground ball guy, who cares, right? Like whatever it takes, man. The more heads that turn and they're looking at Rodale Cruz and they're like, this guy gets outs. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, man, this was tremendous, man. You're a really good dude. It's nice talking to you. I can tell, you definitely come from a family, who raised you right, man. You got the right mentality. I'm sure you've brought in faith, into this and into your life, right? And that's part of it as well, believing in something. Couple of fun questions, man. Who was your favorite player growing up? And was it a guy from the DR or a guy from the States?
It was actually a guy from Puerto Rico. It was Jadier Molina. When I was a catcher, I mean, looking at him play was just always fun. He would just go out there and throw people out every time. So it was really fun. I think that was one of the reasons I started catching, just to watch Yadi play for St. Louis. And also like that team back in the day had Yadier Molina, Albert Pujols,
Pujols
Rafael
too.
Furcal.
Yeah, yeah. Where's
So
Pujols from? Is Pujols from the DR?
yeah, he's from the DR.
He is. Okay, yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's a legend. I mean, these guys, these names that you're ripping off are legends. Do you like will those guys come? I guess some of them stay in the States, and then some of them when they retire go back to the DR, right? Did you get a chance to meet some of those guys when you were a kid playing? Was there guys that would come around? You talked about that.
I mean, we've seen like Robinson Cano like back in the DR, but actually like Pujols and Vladimir Guerrero, they come for spring training and talk like at the Angels complex. So it's really fun to just hang out around them. Like you're playing catch, and next thing you know, you got Pujols just walking
Yeah,
by and saying
yeah,
what's up. So
yeah.
it's always cool just like be around big leaguers. I
Totally.
remember also like last year, Mike Trout was doing rehab for his knee, and that was on like draft week, and we're doing like our arm stuff, and next thing you see in the trainer room is Mike Trout just pulling up and giving fist bumps to everybody. So that
Right,
just
right.
shows like they're great at what they do, but they're human beings.
What's your favorite movie, man? What kind of movies you into?
I like sci-fi, so I like the Avengers. I think I've watched them all.
Okay.
I'm not really like a rewatch type of guy, so I don't know what
Yeah,
went,
yeah.
but I love those movies. I think, like I said, I've watched them once, but
I
they
see a
stuck with
movie.
me.
Yeah, like if I watch a movie, man, I can't go back and watch that movie again. Right?
So,
There's people like I saw that 20 times. Like, why would you watch the same movie? Go watch a different.
yeah, no, for sure.
What's your favorite food in the States when you came over? Like, what's one thing that was not in the DR that when you came over you just fell in love with?
I think that would be corn dogs.
Corn dogs are phenomenal.
Yeah, there's no corn dogs in the DR. So I mean, in Texas they do fairs and
Yep.
uh road like little rodeo things.
Yep. The
So they
corn
will have
dog. Got the
yeah,
big
they'll have
old stick and you put the mustard or whatever on there, man.
yeah, no, those are the best. Just like a little snack.
I can house those things. I agree with you, dude. Those are good. This was a lot of fun, man. I really do appreciate you taking the time. Definitely a citizen of Moneyball, man. And I wish you absolutely, nothing but the most success in the world with your career. We'll certainly stay in touch. And it was great having you on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here.
No problem, man.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You got it, brother. Take care, man.
You too.